Hey, welcome to Love Always Self. I'm Shyra.
Hey, y'all, I'm Karista, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Love Always Self. Today, we are reviewing last week's episode. So if you have not checked that out, please rewind and go back a step. Sorry, I don't know what that noise was. And listen to last week's episode, episode 42, where Shyra channeled one of her master guides, Brady. And just remember that, whatever you hear, whatever feels right, whatever resonates with you, take that with you. And if it doesn't, just leave it. It's okay.
Dropping like it's hot. Yeah. I feel a need to just explain for those that might have popped in the middle and maybe that's the first time that they've ever seen our episodes, or maybe the first time that you're popping in to listen to our episodes is this particular episode. I want to just make sure that I explain, I feel the need to explain. So Brady is one of my guides. We alter between experiences, human physical experiences on this earth. I believe in my conversations with him, um, it's been going on for eons, right? Like since our existence. I think we are part of the same ray of light, split off, having multiple experiences. So his personality feels kind of like the masculine version of me. That makes sense. And what has been explained is that like when he's having a physical experience, I'm his guide in the non-physical realm, and then when I'm having a physical experience, he's my guide. Or there's also that other mind-blowing option of reality of it's all happening at once. Right? So it could be his higher self and he is having still said physical experience, but it's his higher self guiding me, so on and so forth. Anyway, that could go on. But he's part of Mount Glass, right? So we call our, 'cause there's like so many different names for the different types of guides that you can have kind of in and out of your existence while you're here. They do change. Something if you didn't know that. So masters, teachers, guides, loved ones, angels, self, and source. And so we acronymed it and called it Mount Glass because that's just like a lot easier. So and in the world of work, we just acronym everything. So
Yeah.
but yeah.
So we needed to take a little bit of time. I think Shira, you would do a better job explaining afterwards, like what it feels like when you come out of a channeling experience.
Yeah. So the best way I know how to explain it, like while it's occurring, is per se you're in a packed car with your friends, right? Or with your family, whichever. They're all the same. So say you're in a packed car, and in some of the channels that I've done, because that's my first time actually like letting Brady take over, right? Normally Brady's kind of like that guy that's just really always with me and kind of, I can, ask questions and get answers, and I feel that presence. I feel that type of energy from him. There's a personality response to him as well as allows me to know who it is. But when I'm doing channeling, usually I feel like I'm in the back seat of the car. So the entity or the guide that's driving this physical vessel speaking to you, it's like you two are in the front seat and I'm in the back seat and the radio's on, so I'm only catching part of it. So maybe I'm talking to the people in the back seat, right? And having a conversation, but I can still hear you two talking. So every once in a while I kind of zone in and I hear it. It's like that. Like that's the best way I know how to describe it. When it was Brady, I felt like I was actually in the passenger seat, side by side, but maybe he's talking out the window to like the cop that pulled him over or something. I don't know.
By the cop.
I don't know. I was trying to think like who would be at your window. Well,
Starbucks order.
Starbucks order.
Yeah. The
Drive-through, right?
drive-through at Starbucks.
Sorry, better one. Um, so it's like I'm still catching what you're saying, but at the same time, while I'm having this experience, I'm receiving a lot of information. So it's almost as if Brady could split himself into two and have that conversation with you out that window in that analogy, but also turn and look at me and have a conversation with me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe share some pictures on their screen, on
Mm-hmm.
their phone or something, right? So uh this one was really cool. Honestly, the images were so realistic. And it was almost as if I was watching a movie. And it was a lot stronger than I would say any of my previous channeling experiences.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. So a couple of things I want to mention that happened during that channeling session. One, when I went back and watched the episode, because I do need to go back and watch it, because again, I'm having a different conversation than what you're having. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not entirely always sure exactly what's being said. Um, and it's, by the way, very weird to watch my body. Like, just like the way he like uses my hands and like, like, and I remember him asking, but it was kind of funny because the way he asked, he's like, so can I use you? Like a puppet, and I was like, yeah, man, that's cool. Like, so I'm having like this comedy moment on my end, right? And and so but I mean, he feels like home.
Mm.
He feels like home. It's pure love. It's pure like it's like the sibling that maybe like a twin. I feel like maybe this is what twins feel like when you're in complete synchronicity with each other, right?
Mm.
That's the best way I know how to describe it. Um, but it's very, very, very loving. Even though he's comical and everything, it's just pure joy, love, laughter, harmony, like that kind of vibe. So I remember him talking about energetic movements and blockages.
Mhm.
And I got this image, like this visualization of all of the veins in our body and all of the organs in our body, like
Mhm.
as if I was watching one of those like scientific videos where they're giving you a diagram of what all the veins in your body would look like if you could see through your body, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But everything was light
Mm.
and it mimicked the universe. It's almost as if you could take our universe or galaxies, not just one, may I add,
Mhm.
but galaxies and draw lines between them. That's almost what our veins and our internal system look like. And the heart area would have this bright silvery light coming from it.
Mm.
And so you're kind of seeing this like energetic movement. And then when he showed blockages, it was like the what we call the chakras.
Mhm.
They had these different kind of hues or colors to them.
Mhm.
And when something was blocked, it was almost like a dullness in the light.
Mm.
It still moved through it, but it looked like it was just a little harder to do it.
Mhm.
It was a very cool, like, way to see that. It's
Yeah.
like, here, let me give you like a full on, like, if you could see through your body and if you could see what you look like as a light being, this is what an energetic blockage would look like. Right.
Mm.
And then he showed me this like imagery of that same like figure, that same like transparent figure where I can see all that light in the veins and the organs and everything and the chakras,
Mhm.
put its hand on the spot where it's a blockage as like if it was focusing intention to release the blockage. And then you just see all of a sudden that light where it was a dull little dot in that area that was considered block, how it starts to move that light straight through it.
Mhm. Mhm. And
But
shine brighter.
and shine brighter. But what was
Yeah.
interesting is that every time he showed me the image of that area of those veins somewhere else in your body that's not your heart releasing this light through that blockage, the heart area lit brighter.
Oh, wow.
It shined brighter. So that was super cool because this is how it's impactful. And I'm getting chills just talking about it because it's so freaking wild. So what I got was and if I recall from the video, he mentions our hearts being this like light or this ray. I think that might have been my experience, sorry. But what I saw was as these little blockages were that light was starting to pass through and release the blockages, and that heart was shining brighter and brighter, right? That heart area was shining brighter and brighter. It looked like a ray of light going out in every direction, but then there was a focused ray of light going straight up into the sky of the planet and then coming around the planet like a shield.
Mm.
Almost as if like all of us had some kind of impact globally and not just us individually or even remotely around us.
So what I'm seeing or hearing is that when we spend time to love the different parts of ourselves, that shines brighter through our heart center.
Mhm,
And then what I was also thinking of is we look at our skin as one big organ, right?
mhm,
But our skin is made up of trillions and trillions of skin cells.
mhm.
We are those individual skin cells making up one big organ. So when we spend time loving those other skin cells, we are adding to that heart center of the collective.
Like it's just mind blowing. Like like I can't even.
What, what was it? He said, we are all the same parts. We are experiencing each other differently in an illusion of separation.
Oh, let me tell you about this one. Because this one sat with me and it still sits with me. But I remember coming out of that channeling and when you and I stopped recording or walked away from our laptops and I was talking to Steven
Mhm,
about it and I was like, you're not going to believe what I saw. Like, you're not going to believe this. Like how we're all the same. So
mhm,
what I saw was like it was almost as if I was floating outer space in like that little like body I was just telling you about, you know?
mhm,
It was like I was there and he was there and he was like, he's like, just think about something. Think about anything, anyone, anything, any place. And as soon as I thought about it, just like a minute, and for some reason I thought about like a little boy in Africa. That's the first thing I could think about. Maybe it was a video I saw or something. I don't know. And all of a sudden, it was like I flashed right into like it's almost like I zoomed into the earth,
mhm,
right? From outer space. I zoomed into the earth and I zoomed straight into Africa, into this little like remote village and straight into the body of that little boy and everything I was now seeing was from that little boy's perspective.
hmm. Wild.
The right. And it was like, okay, and then I could hear the thoughts like, okay, now think of something else, right? And I was like, I don't know, like grass. And the next thing I know, I'm literally looking up as if I'm that leaf of grass. But
Yeah,
in
like
I know. I know. I know what I'm saying is wild. I freaking feel you because I was like visually seeing this and it was insane to me.
I mean, is it wild or does it just feel like confirmatory? Like confirmation of we are all one.
So that was the core of it, of the
Mm,
experience. It was as if the only possible way I could have done that is because I'm connected to it all.
mm,
I had this overwhelming knowledge that, like, holy crap, we are the same thing, experiencing things differently from whatever perspective we wish to experience, whether that be the freaking table or my current physical form or somebody else's physical form or whatever, you know. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I thought of was like, oh God, is that weird? Because like we marry each other? Like, is that weird? Like, like but like, I mean, it's profound, that's for sure.
So the statement that I recall related to this that he said, that Brady said, is it is all from you in the end. Everything you are perceiving, everything you are looking at, everything you are learning, everything you are experiencing, it comes from you.
Hmm. I mean, that couldn't be any more true. Like from that particular experience, from seeing it in that way, that couldn't be
Mm-hmm.
any more true. Like I can't unsee that experience either. And I think about that because I have a fear of spiders, and I'm like, well, wait, what if I could have been a spider if I wanted to have that experience? Like that's weird.
I
Hold up.
wonder if that would help get over the fear, seeing things from a perspective of a spider.
How many other fears could that potentially help with? There's a lot of people that have fears of a lot of different things. There's people that have fear over somebody that's a different race. There's a people,
Yeah.
there's people that have
Yeah.
fear of, driving a car. I mean, you could have actually been the car because that carries energy too.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a living thing if you think about it. So like, yeah,
Maybe
it's
not in the way of like a beating heart,
no.
but in the form of energy.
You know what
And
made me think about this? There's an episode on Supernatural where you see the entire episode is from the car's perception of everything that's going on.
Mhm.
So, which was super cool because I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I love that show. I totally nerded out in that moment. But yeah, so
So any other pieces of like information that really stuck out to you?
um I remember when it was almost as if like there were certain questions that were being asked, and it felt like again trying to use the car scenario to help explain this. um it was almost as if I was surrounded not just by him, right?
Mhm.
So like he was very much there, very much present, like that was part of the experience, was having that communication with him. But it almost felt as if behind me and maybe the back seat of the car, my other friends and family were also there, like other guides that are around, other, even, archangels or whatever. I don't know. But like it felt strong.
So it's like a
Uh,
minivan.
right. It was like freaking tour bus, right? So, and it felt as if there were certain times where he was almost waiting for everyone in the car to agree on what the next thing would be said,
Mm,
right? So it was almost as if like, do we want to say that?
yeah.
But it was collective. It was a collective agreement on what was being said, on how it was being expressed.
Mhm.
Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yeah.
So it's almost like he's
'Cause
not alone in any of that
well, and
either.
it's all about guidance, and it's not about limiting our free will. And I
Right.
think that's an important thing to mention when it comes to our guides giving us information. It's not like, hey, which lotto numbers should I pick? No, that is your free will. It's asking and receiving and evaluating for guidance so that you can make a choice based on um, information that you are receiving from your guides,
Right.
not so you are being told what to do.
Right.
Mhm.
There was one more image that I got regarding connectivity and I remember this very vividly, and I drew it after we were done talking. Um, and I This is what I drew.
So, for those of you on audio, let's see it, Shire, and I'll explain it. Okay, so stick in the middle with a bunch of little sticks branching off of it. Ultimately, it looks like a stick figure tree. But I remember him explaining this in the video in the last episode. So please go right ahead.
It was like So first off, I was trying to draw something that was really, really bright and light. But I could see the rays of it, right? I could see like that the rays of this bright light were making a tree image.
Mm,
But I could also see this light flowing, like the veins in our body that I was explaining earlier, and how each of those branches was somebody else. It was a person on this planet or an animal or a being of somebody having somebody having a physical experience, something having a physical experience, right? Um and it was almost as if each of those branches was emitting some kind of sound to the point
mm,
where you could kind of hear the talking but you can't make out what they're saying.
mhm,
Um and like that main stem of that was source.
mm,
So it was almost like as if he was trying to explain to me how we're all connected in a sense and how we're branching out and having these physical experiences. And while we're doing this, we're growing and growing and expanding and expanding. And it's just an ever creation process.
mhm,
Um, but that we're still connected.
mhm.
So it was almost like it was like he showed me that before he showed the zooming in to the actual experience.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a bit profound. It was really pretty. It was really pretty. I wish I was an artist like my husband because I would have totally drawn that. So, not the stick figure I just showed.
Oh, I thought you had a beautiful stick figure tree.
And I had to cover up a piece because I was writing notes from like work on it. So I was just like, oh crap, I shouldn't have drawn that.
Oh.
So, like, so I had to put my hand over it.
I think one big takeaway that, and this is going to circle back to something that you had already said, the biggest takeaway that I received from that was us taking a moment to send love out to people that are struggling. Because we are all connected, that is something that we can do to support each other, even if we don't know the people.
Yeah.
So I know that I struggle with wanting to do a lot for other people. Like, with some of the stuff that's been going on in the world, I've been like, how can I volunteer? How can I give, time or
Yeah.
energy or, medical services? And, it's not feasible for me to fly halfway around the world and, you know, to a space that's unsafe. It's not feasible. But it makes me feel like, well, what else can I do? Like I need to do something. I want to do something. And so this was really a great reminder to me that simply sitting in that state of love and just sending it out and visualizing the love surrounding people and peace and harmony and things, I don't want to say like evening out a little bit, but becoming safer, feeling that elevation of vibration in the collective. It starts with us visualizing it and feeling as though it is already here. And so we can do that to support people all around the world.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of like using that visualization that he gave me. And maybe that's why he was showing it of that heart space light, that light
Mhm,
beam, you know,
mhm, mhm,
um, and directing that towards those that you love or protecting the planet or the ones around you, even like whatever. But um, even if we don't physically see this with our own eyes, um, right in front of us right now, I, I, it felt very real to me that
mhm,
that's a real thing when people refer to as us being from light and made of light, and that we emit light. Like that was the best visualization I could possibly have gotten to validate those that have said those types of things.
mhm,
Because and it could be that that visualization is what was needed for me to understand it, but I saw the impact that it can have,
mhm.
and that's
Yeah,
beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
I feel the truth in it as well. And secondarily, we have science that does say that,
That's true.
if you split a particle even by 7 miles and do something to one, the other one feels it immediately. So again, what we visualize, what we put out in the world, that is literally going out into the world. It's not just staying in our little world.
Yeah.
Mhm.
True story.
Awesome. Oh, well, Shyra, thank you so much for being so open and sharing with us what it's like, because not everybody has learned to tap in yet, which everybody can.
Yes.
It's just if
Yes.
you're, willing and driven to work on it, practice it, allow it to happen.
Even some of the most well-known channelers out there, they started somewhere in their
Mhm.
journey with learning and 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 being allowing themselves to be in a state of being of that nature. It's not I never would have thought in a million years that that was a possibility until it happened. And now my mind's freaking blown and it's awesome. I love it. Not for everybody, but I love it because the energy I feel afterwards, it's almost as if I got a cleanse.
Mm.
It's like an energetic cleanse, like a salt bath or whatever you want to call that, bubble bath, whatever.
I was
That's
like, man, those cleanses in the moment, though. Whew.
not a juice cleanse. I mean, but maybe. I don't know. Ew.
Maybe several days after it.
Right. Right.
Anyways,
It's the facial after it heals. You know what I'm
there you
saying?
go. Oh, okay. Well, thank you guys so much again for joining us on this episode of Love Always Self. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content because we love knowing that you love us too. And it just keeps us motivated to keep producing more content. And we just want to keep sharing it with the world because we do believe that we can make this world a better place, one moment of love at a time.
I was going to start singing the One Love song, but okay.
Oh.
And before I get too cheesy, don't forget to
Love first
love last.
and love always.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
y'all.
Hey, listener, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this moment. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and we look forward to our next connection.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to stay notified of new content from Love Always Self. If you have any questions or topics you'd like for us to discuss, please hit us up on any of our social media platforms linked in the show notes below.
I'm Karista.
And I'm Shyra.
And until next time, remember to love first,
Love last,
and love always. Love Always Self podcast is meant for entertainment purposes only. We do not make any warranties about the completeness, reliability, and accuracy of the information presented in this podcast. Any action you choose to take upon the information in this podcast is strictly done so at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses and damages in connection with the use of our podcast. Any and all medical concerns should be addressed with a licensed healthcare provider, as well as any questions that may be derived from the information discussed in this podcast.